So Southeast Asian leaders, as well as President Yoon Suk Yeol, are in Laos, where security issues are set to take center stage at this year's ASEAN Summit. For more analysis, we're joined by Professor Hans Schattle. Welcome back, Professor Schattle.
Thank you, Tommy. Good morning to you.
So how important is President Yoon's attendance at this year's ASEAN Summit? Why so timely?
Oh, it's certainly very important. There are always key economic and geopolitical questions discussed at the summit. Plus, as your report just pointed out, this is a chance not only for President Yoon and the South Korean government to connect with representatives from all across Southeast Asia from their 10-member countries, but also to connect with Japan and China, and also representatives from Australia and India will be at the summit as well. And there are some important issues on the agenda for ASEAN in itself. The civil war in Myanmar, which has been continuing now for the past 3 years, is going to be a top agenda item for the ASEAN. So that is certainly something that's good for the Korean government to be plugged into. And it's also possible that some other major geopolitical issues like the conflict between Israel and Palestine might also come up. Although Southeast Asian countries have not been as heavily affected by that, it's still an area of concern. So for South Korea to be at the table at this, it's very important.
Well, like our Kim Do-yeon reported, South Korea is also expected to establish a comprehensive strategic partnership with ASEAN at the Korea-ASEAN Summit. Now, how will this highest level of partnership be a win-win situation or upgrade for both sides?
Well, Korea's been engaged with ASEAN for 35 years now, so of course this takes it to the next level. And I think one country after another, external countries that have a lot of stakes in Southeast Asia, are signing these kinds of strategic partnerships. In some ways, it confirms what's already in place, but it also, I think, helps set the stage for further economic and technological collaboration and exchanges between South Korea and the member countries. So any step closer to a multilateral organization such as ASEAN is certainly a win for Korea and any other neighboring country in East Asia as well.
Right, it'll secure more cooperation across various sectors for the next 3 decades, who knows. And President Yoon is also expected to hold his first face-to-face meeting with a new Japanese Prime Minister, Shigeru Ishiba, in Laos as well. Now, how important is a meetup? I mean, how do you think the meeting will go this time?
Well, I think this is extremely important, Tommy. Of course, this is a change at the helm of the Japanese government. Yoon's diplomacy with Japan and also by extension with the United States with the recent trilateral summit in Camp David with the President Biden, of course, last year. This is all center really to President Yoon's strategy to try to bring the countries of the democracies anyway of Northeast Asia closer with the United States. And I think there's also a window of opportunity here as well, because Ishiba, more so than his predecessor Fumio Kishida in the past, has called for some interesting measures, some of which may not go very far. Ishiba has called for an Asian version of NATO in the aftermath of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Washington has pretty much put a damper on that kind of talk for the time being. But at the same time, on historical issues between Japan and South Korea, this is also interesting because in the past, Ishiba has said that Japan should reckon more fully with its past war crimes. He actually spoke out on this in 2019 after relations between Japan and South Korea had hit a low point. And he's criticized in the past various aspects of Japan's entry into World War II, suggesting why did Japan get into a war that it couldn't win at that time. So in some ways, he may be more accommodating than Kishida was. Kishida often expressed with Yoon a lot of personal emotion about the historical difficulties between South Korea and Japan, but Yoon didn't press Kishida very hard for more. And this might, if Yoon is willing, it might be a good time for him to, again, we don't want to offer him advice necessarily, but it seems like Ishiba might be more receptive to getting to somebody who would be getting more pressure from the South Korean government. So I think if the Korean government doesn't apply more pressure in this case, it's probably missing an opportunity. Now, Ishiba has his own constituencies in Japan that he has to deal with, and prime ministers in Japan come and go, so we really don't know how long he'll be in office, but there could be a window of opportunity here. I'd say nobody should get their hopes up necessarily who's concerned about these issues, but it seems like the country could get further with him than with his predecessor. We'll have to see.
Alrighty, Professor Schattle, thank you so much for your insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Dami. Take care.
You too.